Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Hold it, you're not that pretty. I'm a bad man. Wait. You got the wall. You got the wall. You got the wall.
I bear witness, there's only one God, Allah, and Muhammad is his final messenger. That's what I said, Larry, on the Bungle fight. Thanking you.
They call me the problem, but you could call me the can man, because anybody can get it. Africans, Americans, Dominicans, Mexicans, anybody can get it.
How y'all doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another edition on Split Decision. Go ahead, click on the like button, subscribe, click on the notification bell, and call in to hold your position. The number is in the description box to place your prediction on Devin Haney versus Linares. This Saturday is a fight that is must-see TV. You can't miss. It's going to be very entertaining. So make sure you guys tune in and call in to place your prediction. With that being said, let's go ahead and get this party started.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
How you doing, AKHi? Who this is and where are you calling from?
What's going on, AKHi? This is Joey from South Florida.
Joey, always the first in the house. So, how you doing, Joey? Tell me who you got this Saturday night between Devin Haney and Jorge Linares. The odds favor Devin Haney, but the fans are saying otherwise. I see a lot of people picking Linares to pull off the upset. However, the last time I checked the odds, it was like 3-4 to 1. What's your take on the odds and the fans picking Linares, and who you favor in that fight?
In terms of the people picking Linares, I got no issue with that. Considering Linares is a great fighter, he's a top 10 lightweight. He's a former 3-division champion, and is a very good opponent. So I don't see an issue with people thinking Linares has the skill set and ability to beat Devin Haney, since, in my opinion, this is Devin Haney's first real step-up fight. So it's not a surprise that people think Linares has a very good shot of making the upset. In terms of the odds, I'm gonna be honest. I think those odds are pretty fair. I don't got an issue with it being 4 to 1. I don't think they're too wide or too narrow, because I think Devin Haney should be the favorite since he's the undefeated champion. Hasn't really had any difficult fights, but at the same time, Linares is still skilled enough to where it shouldn't be too like a Gamboa Devin Haney odds. But in terms of who I'm picking to win, I got Devin Haney. And for the longest, I kept saying he's going to win by decision. But I think Devin Haney's going to surprise us, and I'm predicting an 11th round stoppage.
Okay, that's what's up. Now, first of all, the only reason I brought up the odds was I was trying to actually place a bet because of the comments I was seeing. The way that people was talking, I was thinking that Linares was the favorite for a second. Looking at the comment section, and a lot of people hitting me up claiming that Linares was going to beat Devin. So, but when I checked the odds, though, it said otherwise. So a lot of people that are picking Linares apparently are not betting on him to win the fight. But stylistically, Linares should give Devin Haney a puzzle to solve, because unlike your average Joe, usually when a fighter steps up in competition, he will fight a flat-footed veteran or someone that could punch. However, he's slow. But Devin Haney is making his first big step up against someone that's faster than Ryan Linares. That is, he throws combinations. He got speed, power, IQ. So he got like the whole package. He's a veteran in the game. Linares, last time I checked his credentials, I think he's a 3-time world champion, maybe 11-3 on his world title fights. So he's definitely proven in the game. And this is an opponent that Devin Haney needed, because you see Oscar De La Hoya, Ryan Garcia, and old media continuously critiquing Devin to not having a name on his resume that's proven. Now, Linares beat Luke Campbell. Linares dropped Lomachenko. Linares is a 3-time world champion. And according to Linares himself, he said that this camp have been his best camp. He's in the best condition of his life. He's in a better condition for this fight than he was against Lomachenko and Luke Campbell. That's according to Linares. That's what he told Eddie Hearn on the press conference today. So, like I said, it's going to make for a hell of a fight. I think Linares' speed combinations should make it somewhat competitive. But at the end of the day, I see Devin Haney pulling off the victory. I don't know how. It could be a knockout if Linares really goes for the win and just doesn't try to, pull off a Gamboa and survive. And we know Linares, he always comes to win. So that in mind, Devin Haney may as well be able to pull off the knockout. I see the punch that may put Linares down to be an uppercut. I'll be honest, I see Linares vulnerable for an uppercut by Devin Haney. If Devin hides an uppercut with a jab, he could probably throw a feint, or hide an uppercut after a jab. If he step in with an uppercut, he may stop Linares, or even a right hand. You never know. Devin Haney is a versatile fighter. He could fight in the inside. He could fight mid-range. He could fight in the outside. He could do it all. He haven't had a chance to show his complete, set, his tools that he has. So Linares may bring that to the table. He may force Devin Haney to do something that we haven't seen Devin Haney do, such as maybe even go toe-to-toe in the inside with Linares, because Devin Haney is capable of doing so. He's one of them unique fighters that could fight in the inside and in the outside, even against Gamboa. If you go back and watch the fight, a lot of people were saying Devin Haney was running against Linares all night. But if you go back and watch the fight, after the fifth round, Devin Haney started backing up Gamboa. He started backing up Gamboa, and it was Gamboa who resorted to holding. So that being said, I think the lesson learned from the Gamboa fight is how to fight off a clinch, how to fight someone if they're trying to hold and survive the fight. So I think that was the lesson learned against Gamboa. So with that being said, it's going to be fireworks this Saturday night. So I can't wait.
No, man, I agree with you on that, because after all, I am excited for this fight because, like I said, this is, in my opinion, Devin Haney's biggest fight up to date, and I think everybody would agree with me. But on top of that, I feel as if Devin Haney's going to be put in positions he's never been put in before, and from that, he's going to show a side of him that we haven't seen. Whether is he going to choke or is he going to shine, we're going to see on May 29th, and hopefully he wins, because I don't know about everybody, but I want to see a certain undisputed fight at lightweight, and there's another champion at 135 who's been claiming he wants to fight Devin Haney. Now, we're going to see if it's true. I believe it is. You already know who I'm talking about. You and I have been debating this for the past couple of months, and I think that fight's going to happen after this, but we shall see.
Man, I hope you're right, man. Speaker, believer, receiver, man. I hope you're right, man. I'm not going to say nothing. I'm not going to bring no negativity. I'm hoping that both Tio and Devin win so they could fight next. As far as Devin, I think he's going to step up to the plate. There's no doubt about it. He has so many dimensions to his game, like I said, that he haven't been able to display because he haven't had the opponent to bring it out of him. I think Linares is the one. I see Linares stylistically almost a better style matchup than Tio, because of his hand speed and power that he brings to the table with his experience. So I think Devin is in for a real fight. Don't get me wrong, but he has the skills and the IQ to pull it off. So like I said, I can't wait for this Saturday night. But with that being said, I do want to bring something to your attention that really surprised me, right? I don't know if you caught it, but during the press conference between Devin Haney and Linares, Chris Mannix, he started showing his true colors. He said Devin Haney has to look spectacular in order to land the big fights if he don't want to be like this guy. And he showed a picture of Andrade at the Canelo fight. So what's mind-blowing to me is that, are you over here to promote Devin Haney versus Linares or to do otherwise? Because this is Devin Haney promotion / Matchroom. This is a collaboration, just like when Canelo does collaborations with Matchroom. This is what Devin Haney is doing. So all of a sudden, you see Chris Mannix, instead of doing his job to hype up the fight and promote the fight, he's doing the clear opposite, telling people that, oh, Devin Haney, Linares is the perfect opponent for Devin Haney to look good, trying to downplay Devin Haney victory if he does win. And then he try to act like Devin Haney is a boring fighter, and that's why he can't get the big fights like this guy, Andrade, and shows a picture of him. Now, first of all, I do want to ask you that since Chris Mannix want to play this game, which we already know what time it is, if it's a black fighter, then they always got to do the most. If you black, you always got to do the most. You got to be exciting. You gotta have a fan base. You got to do this, that, and the third. So what did Caleb Plant do his last fight to land the Canelo fight? Since Andre got to do so much more than anybody else, how come Caleb Plant is landing a fight with Canelo Alvarez next and Andrade couldn't? When they are in a similar position where Canelo could have fought Andrade for undisputed back in 2019, like he's about to fight Caleb Plant for undisputed today. So what's your take on that? How come Caleb Plant doesn't have to be exciting in order to land the Canelo Alvarez fight? How come Caleb Plant could just land a Canelo Alvarez fight without being exciting, without proving himself, like the critics say when it comes to Andrade and Charlo?
I mean, it's like I already said. Look, I like Caleb Plant. I think he's a great fighter and he's an undefeated champion. But it's what you already pointed out. Caleb Plant hasn't done anything that Demetrius Andrade hasn't. If anything, Andrade has done more because Andrade has been a champion in 2 different weight classes. Caleb Plant hasn't even done that. In my opinion, Caleb Plant is more green than Demetrius Andrade, not simply because he's younger, but he's done less. And yet, he's done less, and yet Canelo is coming for Caleb Plant like it's nobody's business. Like, I want someone to genuinely ask Canelo, what is it that Caleb Plant brings to the table that Demetrius Andrade didn't bring back in 2019 when you could have fought for him for undisputed? Now, of course, I don't think anybody has the nerve to ask Canelo that question, simply for the fact that if you talk about Canelo in a negative way, you're going to get so much hate for it.
Right.
So, I don't know.
And let me tell you what someone said in the comment section. Someone said he's boring. Well, Caleb Plant was boring his last fight too then. If we're going to play them games like, the boring game, if y'all want to play the boring game, what did Caleb Plant do against Terence, who I think Anthony Durrell knocked out in the first round? Anthony Durrell knocked out Terence in the first round. This was a 39 years old fighter. So when Caleb Plant fought him, he went 12 rounds with him. He never dropped him, not even once during the fight. So that fight was boring, supposedly, if you want to call Andrade boring. And we know for a fact Andrade's last fight wasn't boring because Andrade dropped his opponent twice, William that is, and he got hurt himself twice during the fight. So the fight was action-packed. It was back and forth. So Andrade's fight was more exciting than Caleb Plant. But Canelo is fighting Caleb Plant for less money than he could have fought Andrade for undisputed. Canelo was offered $40 million guaranteed to fight Andrade for undisputed, and he turned that down after he said that was his long-time goal and dream is to become the first Mexican undisputed middleweight champion. So from Mexico City. So that being said, you know, like I said, you know, for when it comes to Chris Mannix, when he come out and say things like you have to do more, you have to be exciting, and you have to look spectacular, unlike this guy, and shows a picture of Andrade, what he really should have said was the truth, which is they want Andrade to look horrible and, more importantly, to lose. That's the only way Andrade could get a fight, if he freaking loses to someone he's not supposed to lose to. Because Avini didn't have to look spectacular. Avini didn't have to beat nobody. Matter of fact, he was coming off a loss when Canelo Alvarez fought him. Rocky Fielding didn't have to look spectacular. He got knocked out in the first round by Smith. And we could go on and on. We could go all day of fighters that have less credentials than Andrade, who look less spectacular and who so-called boring, like Billy Joe Saunders, that took steroids in the past. They landed a Canelo Alvarez fight before Andrade did. And Andrade have been calling out Canelo for the past 7 years. But you see Chris Mannix showing his racist card, you know, always every time there's a fighter on the coincidental list, he always got to do more. Andrade, he got to look spectacular. He got to prove himself, even though, like Andrade told Chris Mannix, listen, I'm a champion. They supposed to want to fight me. They supposed to want to unify with me because I got a belt. If I'm a horrible fighter, then come beat me for your biggest payday. Andrade was Canelo Alvarez's biggest payday. Andrade was Trollo's biggest payday. So that's the point I'm trying to point out here, is that when it's a fighter on the coincidental list, they always got to do that much more. They want to call Devin Haney a runner. Well, last time I checked, Muhammad Ali ran his way to be to becoming the greatest of all time. Last time I checked, Floyd Mayweather ran his way to becoming the best ever, TBE. But these are codes. These are code words they use when they want to hate on a fighter, you know, from the coincidental list. That's all it is. Because, like I said, this is Devin Haney promotion. Devin Haney is a co-promoter, and you see Chris Mannix this Devin Haney on his own promotion. This ain't Chris Mannix like his show on the Zone. No. This is Chris Mannix dissing Devin Haney on his own promotion. You never see that. When they promote Canelo Alvarez on his own promotion, they call Canelo the greatest Mexican of all time, and they say who could beat Canelo when he's fighting Avini Yildirim. So we constantly see these double standards, especially by Chris Mannix, who's showing his true colors. And let me tell you this, which is mind-blowing. Chris Mannix had told Eddie Hearn leading up to the Andrade fight that Charlo versus Andrade is one of the biggest fights in boxing ever. He said Charlo versus Andrade is one of the biggest fights in the sport of boxing ever. And I'm like, hello, anybody home? How about Andrade versus Gennady Golovkin? How about Andrade versus Canelo Alvarez? How come those fights aren't one of the biggest fights of all time? But you see, it's like the lesser of two evils. It's two fighters from the coincidental list, so they want them to cancel themselves out. Don't get me wrong, I want to see that fight too, but there are fights that are easier to make for Andrade, such as Gennady Golovkin, who's on the zone, such as Canelo, another fighter on the zone. Those fighters are easy. Those fights are easier to make, but you see Chris Mannix protecting them fighters instead. When Gennady Golovkin cherry picked, when Gennady Golovkin truly lost to Deveryachenko and robbed him, Andrade hopped in the ring. Andrade sneaked his way into the ring. And guess what Chris Mannix did? He completely ignored Andrade's presence. He completely ignored that Andrade is in the ring with him. And he's asking Gennady Golovkin about Canelo, a fight nobody want to see no more, the trilogy. He continued to ask Gennady Golovkin about Canelo when he really coming off a robbery, ignoring Andrade, who's in the ring. So like I said, we continue to see Chris Mannix show his true colors of being a racist. And I'm going to just call it what it is. Because this man, like I said, he want to say Devin Haney got to do this much more. But he tells Ryan after he beat Luke Campbell, you the shot caller. because you have Instagram followers. Really? He's Devin Haney mandatory, but he the shot caller. And you see him continue to claim Devin Haney have to prove himself to fight a Ryan Garcia who right now has anxiety issues. Why are we even talking about Ryan? You shouldn't even show a picture of him right now till he deal with his anxiety issues. And then when it's Teo, they want to tell Teo he's he got all the belts. Yeah, you know, you the shot caller. Ryan, on the other hand, has no belts. He got no belts at all. They still claiming he the shot caller. So if you're a fighter on the hope list with belts or without belts, you the shot caller. You prove yourself or you don't prove yourself, you a shot caller. Ryan Garcia is a perfect example. You don't even got to be a Canelo Alvarez to be a shot caller to them. However, on the other hand, Devin Haney, who's doing what a fighter's supposed to do, is fight the best, to wanting to fight the best, to deliver for the fans. They telling him you got to do much more. Being a champion is not enough. You got to look spectacular. You got to knock him out. You got to do this, that, and the third. I mean, last time I checked in the amateurs, all you got to do is win. In the amateurs, you win and you elevate yourself to the next position. In every sport, they don't tell basketball players, oh, you got to look spectacular. No, all you got to do is win to elevate yourself to the next position. However, we see the double standards in the sport of boxing. When a fighter's on the coincidental list, he always got to do that much more. And when a fighter on the hope list, and then when a fighter is on the hope list, he don't got to do nothing at all. Automatically, he the shot caller. So, like I said before, Devin Haney doesn't have to do anything but win against Linares. He don't got to knock him out. Man, he don't got to do nothing. Like I said before, if you want to call him a runner, again, Muhammad Ali ran his way to becoming the greatest of all time. If you want to say, oh, he will never become a star, Floyd Mayweather ran his way to the bank, becoming the biggest pay-per-view star, and TBE. So running is winning, if you ask me.
I got two questions for you, Aki, real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
The first question is, how many decaps say that Floyd Mayweather is doing? Just out of curiosity.
How many decaps say what?
Damn near all of them. Right?
Say it again.
That Floyd Mayweather's born.
Oh man, all of them. All of them.
Okay. And real quick question: who is it that Caleb Plant is inspired by? Who he tries to fight like? Who he emulates? Just tell me.
Of course.
Who do they think Caleb Plant fights like?
Of course, Floyd. Even
Floyd
Canelo.
Mayweather.
Even Canelo was trying to copy Floyd Mayweather's style with his defense.
So my question is, how is it that Floyd Mayweather style, which is boring every other time, but Caleb Plant is so-called exciting, even though he fights like Mayweather, yet Andrade is called boring? So let me get this straight. So Floyd Mayweather style is boring, but Caleb Plant style is exciting, but Andrade style is boring. That don't make no sense. That's a contradiction. How is it that Floyd Mayweather style can be so boring to these guys, but Caleb Plant's like, oh, we want to see Plant versus Canelo. I want to see Plant versus Canelo, don't get me wrong, but I'm not going to go out and say that Plant deserves a fight with Canelo because he's an exciting fighter or he's done more than Demetrius Andrade or Charlo. That's not true. Plant fights just like those so-called boring fighters you guys can't stand, but yet because it's Plant, you guys don't have an issue with it. Or better yet, because Canelo wants to fight Plant, you don't have an issue with it. So Plant instantly becomes exciting. That doesn't make any sense. And also on top of that, this isn't the first DAZN worker who's defended Canelo Alvarez in terms of why he didn't fight Demetrius Andrade. I don't know if you heard about this, but I think it was Ak who came out recently from Ak and Barak's show and claimed that Canelo explained why Canelo didn't fight Andrade because he was on Golden Boy and he was quote unquote doing other stuff, which literally didn't mean anything, and that didn't make any sense because Canelo, while being on Golden Boy, fought on DAZN, fought Rocky Fielding, fought Daniel Jacobs, fought who else? Many fighters on DAZN while he was a part of Golden Boy. So that point doesn't even that doesn't explain why he didn't fight Demetrius Andrade.
Well, he said that the reason why Canelo didn't fight Andrade was because Golden Boy and he said that Canelo wasn't signed with Eddie at the time. He was signed with Golden Boy, and Golden Boy and Eddie Hearn wasn't doing business together, right? That's supposedly his excuse, but it's so funny. Like, he got to do his homework because he's looking super biased on his end, because at the end of the day, Eddie Hearn and Golden Boy already worked together. So what are you talking about? What are you even talking about? Canelo fought Rocky Fielding. Rocky Fielding was an Eddie Hearn fighter. He was a Matchroom fighter, and Matchroom and Golden Boy worked together to make that fight happen. So Canelo will work with Eddie Hearn against the Rocky Fielding, but when it's an Andrade, it's a no. Plus, they fight on the same network. You know, it's literally no excuse. It was Canelo biggest payday. It was Canelo on the zone and Andrade on the zone. It was for Undisputed, and both promotional companies work together because they literally fight on the same network. They work on the same network. So, like I said before, I mean, they like I said, these are code words. They want to say Floyd is boring, but why is Floyd got the highest viewership on YouTube? They want to claim, oh, Floyd Mayweather sold the most pay-per-views because people wanted to see him lose, which is absolutely laughable, because there's a lot of fighters that people wanted to see them lose. They didn't do that many pay-per-views, but how come Floyd still does the biggest viewership on YouTube as far as his fights, his past fights, his old fights? They do more numbers than almost majority of the fighters today. So why is this boring fighter is doing more viewership than majority of the fighters of all time? Was Muhammad Ali born when he was moving around? You know, was Muhammad Ali born? Was Sugar Ray Leonard born? Boxing, the name of the sport is hit and don't get hit. The name of the sport is not being a punching bag, hit and be hit. No, the name of the sport is hit and don't get hit. It's being the Matrix. How can you dodge a bullet? Can you dodge a punch that's as fast as a bullet? That's more impressive than getting hit by a punch. So, like I said before, I mean, it's just, code words. And Chris Mannix, I mean, he already showed his true colors coming out of the closet. So might as well wear your shirt proudly of being a recaf, not a decaf, a recaf. But with that being said, let me just get your take on this real quick before I pick up the other callers. So ESPN currently removed Terence Crawford from the #1 slot that he earned for the past 5 years. Since Andre Ward retired, Terence Crawford was truly #1. But ever since then, they put Lomachenko as #1. ESPN, that is. They put Lomachenko #1 over Terence Crawford back when Lomachenko was 8-1-0. With only 8 fights and 1 loss, they had him as pound for pound #1. According to Teddy Atlas, the reason why was because according to the eye test, right? Now, fast forward 5 years later, Lomachenko lost again to Teofimo Lopez in a stinking performance where he didn't throw no punches at all. And Terence Crawford gets elevated to the #1 spot. But some way, somehow, few months later, Canelo fights a guy coming off a loss, Ivy Yildirim. And Canelo fights a Billy Joe Saunders, a guy who tested positive for steroids. And who was boxing Canelo in my book. And all of a sudden, Canelo surpasses Crawford on the pound for pound list. Can you make sense out of that?
I mean, the thing is, people are going to be like, oh, it's because Canelo's done more. Oh, so what you're telling me is that Lomachenko did more back in 2017 than 2018. While Crawford was becoming the undisputed champion, when Canelo beat Triple G, Lomachenko was just doing more. He was beating better fighters. But yet, people had no issue when Canelo was ranked #3 on the ESPN pound for pound list. When Canelo beat Kovalev, you didn't see him get moved up to #1 spot because why wasn't he? Because Lomachenko was up there. But as soon as Lomachenko lost and Terence Crawford was on that list for literally only 7 months, like, I literally saw this on ESPN. Canelo only was, people don't even know this, Canelo was this close to being ranked #1 after beating Avni Yildirim. He was only 1 vote short on the ESPN list from being pound for pound #1. for beating Yildirim. And I knew once I saw that, I'm like, if he beats Billy Joe Saunders, there's no question about it. They're gonna make him pound for pound number one for beating a Billy Joe Saunders, because they were this close to making it just for beating Avni Yildirim. That doesn't make any sense. If Terence Crawford fights I don't know, a Virgil Ortiz, his mandatory, his actual mandatory, not someone who he asked to be there, he's not going to get moved up to number one. That's not going to be a competitive fight. They're not going to make him number one because of that performance. We all know that. But yet, Canelo was on the verge of being pound for pound just a few months ago for beating an Avni Yildirim. You can look this up too. It hasn't been updated. They'll show you on ESPN just in case you decaf think I'm lying. Check for yourself.
If Terence Crawford fought an Avni Yildirim, he would have been removed from the top 10 pound for pound. And the real reason why ESPN removed Crawford from the number one slot is because he's now leaving ESPN in top rank to do what's best for his career, since they won't treat him right. Since he does the best viewership, and they still dissing him in the process, Bob Arum, that is. But like I said, I mean, you see Carissa Shield. Like, there's no doubt about it. Carissa Shield, she is the guap. I think they call her the guap, goat or something like that. Guap. What's the word?
Guo, I think.
Guo. Okay, they call her the Guo. So Carissa Shield, she the Guo. She did something that have never been done before in the male or the female division, which is become a 3-time world champion in 10 fights in a really short amount, a short period of time. Carissa Shield is a 2-time undisputed world champion in 2 different world divisions. She's also a 3-time world champion, undefeated, dominated every single opponent. I mean, there's no doubt about it. When you're talking about a person already being the greatest of all time in their own field, of course they pound for pound number one. And you see the Zone and ESPN placing Taylor on top of her. In fact, the Zone didn't even include Carissa Shield in the conversation. And Carissa Shield was like, haha, this is really funny, reacting to the Zone not ranking her, not putting her in the conversation for the number one slot when she's the greatest women boxer of all time. So we see the pattern. We see what they're trying to do. We see them removing Terence. We see them removing Carissa Shield from the number one slot. We also see, Jamel Charlo is not even on the list. Like if you look at ESPN list, they had Estrada, they had Lomachenko, and they didn't have Jamel Charlo, which is extremely shocking to see. And like I said before, it's mainly a popularity contest. The pound for pound list is becoming a popularity contest because being number one pound for pound means you could almost beat any fighter in the sport, regardless of the weight division. So Terence Crawford, I got confident that he could beat anybody in the sport if they all in the same world, if they all in the same weight class. But Canelo Alvarez is not even the best in his own division. That's why he turned down his biggest payday to avoid Andrade for undisputed for $40 million. That's why he gave up his belt to avoid Charlo. That's not what the best pound for pound will do. You are making up legacy. You're a fake champion if you got to give up a belt in order to protect a record that's not even perfect in my books. So again, you don't see Terence Crawford giving up his belt to avoid a dangerous mandatory like Sean Porter. You saw Sean Porter vacate his mandatory position to find a way out of the Crawford smoke. So they continuously disrespect Crawford because, again, they didn't think Lomachenko was going to lose anytime soon. So they didn't see this coming. The moment he lost, man, they couldn't wait to replace Crawford from the pound for pound list. They couldn't wait. The moment they felt like, man, we could make Canelo pound for pound number one, they went ahead and did it. But it's obviously, I mean, according to their own list, it's hypocritical because they had Lomachenko number one all this time over Crawford. The topic of conversation wasn't Canelo and Lomachenko. It was Lomachenko and Crawford. Literally, all of ESPN debates over who's the number one pound for pound was over Lomachenko and Crawford. All of a sudden, the moment Lomachenko loses, Canelo surpasses Crawford to becoming the #1 pound for pound, which is absolutely laughable. And this is when it comes to I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, Jamel said Canelo is pound for pound #1. Well, that's what you call wanting acceptance. You see, Jamel, he got tired of the hate. So one day he woke up and he want to receive some type of love. So he said that that's why he said that in order to receive love in the process, because the same people that selected Canelo #1 as the #1 pound for pound in the sport are the same people that don't even rate Jamel Charlo on the top 10 pound for pound. And that's the truth. But the reason why Jamel says Canelo is #1 pound for pound, knowing that Canelo is avoiding his own brother Jamal Charlo and gave up his belt to avoid Jamal, knowing that Canelo avoided Jamel at 154, where he chose to fight Cricklin instead, is because of the backlash he receives. This brother want to receive some love so bad. He started, saying things that pleases the decafs. But always remember that they don't like you. They just like what you say at the moment in time. And that's the truth.
I agree with that. And just another quick question, Aki. Let me ask you. Tank Davis, he's the WBA regular champion at 135, right?
Yeah.
So, real quick, if Tank Davis were to fight Devin Haney, and let's say he beat him, would that be a unification, or would he just be the WBC champion?
He'd just be the WBC champion.
Okay. Right? And I bet every decaf would agree with that. And yet, my question is, why is it that Canelo versus Austin Trout was considered a unification bout when Austin Trout didn't have the WBA super super welterweight title?
Oh yeah.
People want to say Canelo. Yeah. You can look at believe it or not, Canelo didn't unify with Austin Trout. He was still only the WBC champion. The WBA super, you can look this up too. The WBA super welterweight champion was Floyd Mayweather. That's who Canelo unified, and we all know how that ended. So,
okay.
So in other words,
that's news. And let me also add that to the list. Canelo, you know who he fought for the WBC title, right?
Yeah, he fought Matthew Hatton.
Ricky Hatton brother. So, and Ricky Hatton brother, Matthew Hatton, was a 147 pounder. Canelo he dragged him from 147 to 154 and fought Ricky Hatton brother at 154, who's not even ranked in that division, for a WBC belt. Canelo was ranked #4 under the WBC. Ricky Hatton brother Matthew Hatton wasn't even ranked at all. And that's who Canelo fought for his world title. Do you guys know who Floyd fought for his world title, his first world title? Hernandez, arguably the best 130 pounder of all time. And on the other hand, Canelo fights someone that's not even ranked in a division he never fought at.
Yeah. So, and another thing they'll tell you, they won't even tell you that the first champion that Canelo Alvarez beat, it wasn't Austin Trout, it wasn't Matthew Hatton, it was Miguel Cotto. That was the first champion he beat. The fight he had right before he fought Gennady Golovkin. So Canelo doesn't have as many titles as people claim he does. The first champion Canelo actually defeated in the ring was a 35, 36-year-old Miguel Cotto. That was the guy he beat. But they don't want to tell you that. They want to tell you that he was a unified champion at 154, which in actuality, the only two belts he ever won at 154 was the WBC title he got from Matthew Hatton and the WBO title he got from beating Liam Smith. He never had the WBA title because he didn't beat Floyd Mayweather. And if you guys think I'm lying, look it up. Floyd Mayweather won the WBA title when he beat Miguel Cotto, a prime Miguel Cotto, and then fought Canelo Alvarez in a unification bout.
That is crazy.
Call me out if I'm lying.
That is crazy. And that's like, again, that's why I always say Canelo makes up history. He making up history. Like I said, again, he fought Ricky Hatton brother Matthew Hatton for his first world title. And then you telling me He only fought Cotto, who was not a former champion, a current champion. That was his first current champion he fought. The whole time Demetrius Andrade was calling him out. The whole time he could have fought Jamal Charlo for the IBF belt, but he elected not to. Like I said before, Canelo Alvarez, the Fabulous Four of his time is the Charlo twins and Andrade. These are his Fabulous Four, and he avoided all three. And that's a fact. He avoided all three. He avoided Jamel at 154. He avoided Jamal at 160 and gave up his belt. He avoided Andrade for undisputed at 160 for his highest payday of $40 million. And people want to call this guy pound for pound number one. It's absolutely laughable. It's absolutely laughable. But with that being said, I got a lot of callers. Let me go ahead and get to them. Make sure you call in after the fight for when it comes to Devin Haney.
Now, you good, Aki. I just wanted to drop some knowledge on these guys because I realized that myself. Hey, unless you guys can say Tank beating Devin Haney is a unified champion, which isn't true, then you can't tell me that Canelo beating Trout was a unified champion either, because the only time he unified at 154 was with Mayweather, and we don't need to debate what happened to Canelo Alvarez. You can see it was an ass whooping.
Hey, well, that was some good information, man. That was some really good information you brought up upon us. And make sure you call in after the fight.
No, I got you. Take it easy, Aki.
Appreciate it, Joey. Hey, man, Joey over here dropping knowledge on you guys. Let me go ahead and pick up another caller. How you doing, Aki? Who this is and where you calling from?
Hey, what's going on, Aki? It's Brad from Milwaukee.
Yes, sir. So talk to me, Aki. Who you got the Saturday night? Devin Haney versus Linares. Who you picking and why?
This Saturday I got Devin Haney. Originally I was thinking it was gonna be like a decision, but looking at how I feel like Linares is really in there to win, not to just survive. He got a lot of speed. And he'll push the pace a little bit. And I feel like push Devin into more so like, more of a fight mode and turning his hands over and really looking to, show us a different side of his game. Hopefully he's 100% healthy and, he can go out there and get a stoppage, I would say, very late rounds, like 10th round.
Oh, yeah, so you see a KO for Devin Haney.
Yeah, not like a one-punch highlight reel type knockout, but, TKO, stoppage, maybe get a knockdown, and, he can't answer the count type thing. So,
do you see the fight being competitive due to Linares' hand speed early on, or you think Devin Haney is going to control the fight from the jump, or do you see it being competitive early on, and Devin has to make adjustments?
No, it's almost a 50-50 fight. I really appreciate Devin showing a lot of heart and stepping up and taking up a big fight like this. This is a huge fight. Obviously one of his best opponents, but I like Devin's ability to, his ring generalship, his ability to, control the pace, like you said. But the speed, I think, is going to push him into, trying to gain more respect from Linares and really trying to, keep him off in a way where, because Linares is really going to push that pace. Like I said, I feel like he's in there to win and not just, survive the fight, So I really feel like Devin is going to show us a lot more, like I said, just really trying to turn his hands over and, show us a little bit of power.
Yes, sir. Well, I hope you're right, man. Like I said, it's going to be a good fight for sure. It's a 50-50 fight. But, yeah, I definitely got Devin Haney winning as well. It could be a late night KO to the body, to the head. Anything is possible. But that being said, what's your take? That's rumors. Let me put it this way. There's rumors that Terence Crawford is looking to possibly sign with MTK Global, which could end up be Eddie Hearn and DAZN. What's your take on that news? Do you think that's the right decision to make if he does go that direction, knowing all the talent is with the PBC?
Right. That was going to be my point right there. Why not PBC, man? Go ahead and go to PBC. That's where everybody at in your division. You know, we can make these fights happen. Everybody wants to see him and Errol. You know, Errol got the Pacquiao fight. Look at what Al Heyman is doing. Like, we don't even I don't even know what Al Heyman looks like, and he making these amazing fights. And you know, he hasn't came out and announced nothing too early. He hasn't done any of these antics. I mean, amazing promoter, amazing promotion. PBC does a great job with with handling business, and they get it done. And you don't see any of these antics. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I've never seen PBC make an announcement too soon, or they talk about they need money or whatever. Like I said, I've never seen Al Heyman talk. I don't know what he look like. Like, he just dropped the schedule. You know what I mean? They got a great schedule for this summer. Right. So, I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't go there. Why would you go to the Zone? The Zone is putting on Demetrius Andrade fights on at noon. At least for me. You know what I mean? Where I'm at. I had to get up early from third shift because I almost missed the fight. So, I mean, why when, guys are, handling his promotion, promoting Andre like that, very talented fighter. I mean, why would you kind of go with, not the same thing, but I mean, almost even worse. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. So maybe he's got, some promises that he's looking forward to from Eddie Hearn, or maybe it's a money thing, whatever. But I was really hoping it would be with PPC.
Right. I mean, like you said, all money is not good money. So even if MTK Global gives him the bag to sign with his own, look what's happening to Andre. Look what's happening to Andre. This brother got all the talent in the world, and he's being blacklisted. And you see Chris Mannix continue to diss him instead of praising him as the boogeyman, right? So why would you want to end up like Demetrius Andrade? You just as talented. Why would you want to end up being in that position where you can't land any fights at a network where there's a lot of commentators that are racially biased? You don't want to go there. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to tell Crawford what to do, but it'd be wise if he does a one-off. If it's a one-off where he's like, okay, I'll fight Virgil Ortiz for $10 million. Give me $10 million. I'll fight Virgil Ortiz on the Zone. I don't got no problem going to the Zone, fight, Virgil Ortiz, and then leave as a free agent. If he does what Canelo is doing right now as a free agent, that's smart. But if he signs with the Zone, that's how you're not going to be able to land the mega fights at all. I mean, you could kiss that shit goodbye. Excuse my language. You could forget about that, because the same issues and the static between PBC and Top Rank is going to continue with the Zone. So why bring a third party to the table when you could go ahead and you could go ahead and talk to Al Heyman directly? Like I said before, if he does a one-off with the Zone, there's nothing wrong with that. In my humble opinion, the best route to go is to go to the Zone, fight a Virgil Ortiz for $10 million, secure that fight. In the meantime, if you can't land the Errol Spence fight after that, move up to 154 and fight Jermell Charlo for Undisputed. That's a big fight, if you ask me. Jermell Charlo versus Crawford at 154 for Undisputed. And then you could move back down if you are victorious to fight Errol Spence at 147 for Undisputed. That way he could get some leverage on the negotiations table. However, if he chooses to go another direction, obviously Errol Spence now is the absolute A side. There's no doubt about it. After landing the Manny Pacquiao fight, I mean, as far as I know, Errol Spence could demand whatever he wants, and he will be in the driving seat, because he's the A side. I mean, he just landed the Manny Pacquiao fight. He might fight the winner of Ugas versus Thurman if that fight does happen, and that's another huge fight. So Errol Spence is making himself a superstar. So Crawford signing with his own is not going to do you any good. What Crawford has to do is to sign with PBC. These where all the fights could be made, all the super fights for Crawford that he's looking for. The Errol Spence fights, the Jermell Charlo fights, Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, and all the big names, the big fights you can name for Crawford, right? So what's your take on that? You think it would be smart if Crawford could land maybe a Josh Taylor, then a Virgil Ortiz, then a Jamel Charlo, and then head back to Errol Spence? That way, he could possibly become 3-time undisputed in three different divisions.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Like, I like that. I like that path that you laid out. If definitely don't sign that the zone contract for sure. If you're getting you a couple one-offs or whatever, cool, that's fantastic. But then, if you want to go ahead with a contract and get into all that, get deep in with somebody, it's going to be PPC at the end of the day. Like you said, you got all the opportunity in the world to move up, do 54. 54 with PBC and 47 is stacked. So, you got plenty of fights there, plenty of amazing matchups. And I think, Bud will obviously do well. So, why wouldn't you make that move? Why wouldn't you do that? So, hopefully that's what we're looking at.
Yeah, and then on the other hand, nobody ever said anything bad about Al Heyman as a promoter or a manager. Everybody have so much great things to say about him. So would you want to go with someone that's already got a great reputation, or you someone that you don't know how they're going to treat you? Like you said, with all the talent, you also have Al Heyman, who's always been great to his fighters that does work with him. You could ask Errol Spence. Errol Spence was once the boogeyman. Errol Spence couldn't even get a fight at one point. And he then got Kell Brook, Lamont Pearson, Mikey Garcia, Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, and now Manny Pacquiao. Man, Crawford was chasing the Pacquiao fight for the past 5 years with Bob Arum. And it almost seemed like Bob Arum kept Pacquiao away from him. So at the end of the day, why wouldn't you want to go with someone that got your best interest? And if Crawford signed with PBC, because he's a valuable asset, let's all be honest. Crawford is a very valuable asset to anybody, especially PBC, because they could make so many mega fights with him for the next 5 years. So if he goes any other direction, it will be disappointing for the fans, because it's going to make it harder for the mega fights to take place. And Crawford doesn't have time to waste. He's 33, about to be 34. So time is not on his side. He can't gamble no more. He has to make the right decision. He has to sign with the right promotional company that he could land the mega fights he been looking for. So what's your take on Bob Arum continuously dissing Crawford? This is what Bob Arum said. He said, we could make a big fight versus Porter, but who going to pay for it? Question mark. This is what Bob Arum told The Athletic. He said, there's a limit to what I can get out of ESPN and on pay-per-view. Crawford never done anything on pay-per-view. Nothing against him. Nothing against him. It is what it is. So you see Bob Arum downplaying Terence Crawford star ability to sell a pay-per-view, because remember, of course, Crawford pay-per-views in the past didn't do good numbers, but that was because they weren't pay-per-view worthy. The Postal fight wasn't pay-per-view worthy. The Amir Khan fight wasn't pay-per-view worthy. So you shouldn't have put them fights on pay-per-view to begin with. But Crawford versus Porter, it is pay-per-view worthy. What's your take on Bob Arum completely writing off Terence Crawford's star being a star in the sport of boxing?
It's just completely disrespectful, and this is the guy that you have promoting you. It's like, well, isn't it your job to promote these fights? Isn't it your job to, find me the best matchups, give me the best deals, all that stuff? And, it's like, it's so easy to run that narrative and, this thing where, look at what Eddie Hearn did post-fight with Andrade, saying, oh, didn't he look vulnerable and didn't he do this and that, and just, it's so, easy for them to just, disrespect their own, black fighters. If they're black, they're black, and that's the ones that they're doing it to. They haven't, they don't disrespect, any of their own fighters in any other scenario. There was the TO and Top Rank scenario, but different case, whatever. But the thing is, they're so easy to disrespect their own fighters when they're black, and that's totally uncalled for, man. You can't be doing that. If something is going on between promoter and fighter, I don't even feel like we shouldn't even know about it. Like, that's kind of the kind of business or kind of talks or whatever that you need to be having behind closed doors. To just bring that out in the open, that you feel that way, it's just way too disrespectful. And if I'm Bud, I wouldn't want to tolerate that. I would have never tolerated that. There's just no way. So.
I mean, you'll never see Bob Arum disrespect Teofimo in the public. You never see that. Teo has so much to say about Bob in return. Bob said, yeah, he liked Teo. He's a good fighter. His father is looking out for Teo's best interest. But Teo isn't as big as he think he is, or something around them lines. He never disrespected Teo the way he disrespected Terence Crawford, who have been loyal to him all this time. I mean, it's mind-blowing, right? Because he continuously downplay Crawford's stardom and stuff like that. But if we put Errol Spence versus Postal on pay-per-view, that's gonna flop because it's not pay-per-view worthy. Not any fight you could throw on pay-per-view and sell it to the fans. It got to be pay-per-view worthy. So if you throw Crawford versus Porter on pay-per-view, that is pay-per-view worthy because now the fans going to be intrigued on who's going to win. It's a 50-50 fight. Plus, it is a fight where both fighters have a name. That's how you make a pay-per-view fight. So the point that I'm trying to make is that when Crawford fights on ESPN, he always does the biggest ratings every single time. Crawford, I think in 2017 against Benavidez, did the highest ratings on ESPN for years. He did the biggest ratings in any network, including PBC at, I think, that year in 2017, right? And ever since then, he always did the highest ratings. So I think Crawford last fight against Kell Brook, I think he did 2.2 million views on ESPN. So that fight had little to no promotion, and it did high numbers, 2.2 million pay-per-views. On the other hand, you see Josh Taylor versus Ramirez. This fight was for undisputed. This fight had two names, not one name, two names, both Josh Taylor, who was a unified champion, and Ramirez, who was a unified champion. This fight was well promoted, and they did 1.9 million viewership on ESPN. So Crawford, just defending his title against Kell Brook, on like the fight was announced really late. It had zero to no promotion, like always. Crawford still pulls off more ratings than an undisputed fight. Crawford did 2.2 million viewership on ESPN. And Bob Arum got the audacity to claim Crawford doesn't sell and he's losing money on him. How you losing money on the fighter you're doing the most viewership with? How? If you're losing money on Crawford, that means you're losing money on all of your fighters. I mean, did Bob Arum come out and say he lost money on Tyson Fury when Tyson Fury cherry-picked Wildin and sold 3,000 tickets? This man sold 3,000 tickets. They had to give away 2,000 tickets. Did Bob Arum come out and say Tyson Fury, man, I thought he was the heavyweight Superman. He turned out to be a fighter that have no stardom at all. He sold 3,000 tickets. I didn't hear Bob Arum shit on Tyson Fury. Instead, he claims Tyson Fury is such an entertaining fighter and he's such a star, and he continues to fool the public on Tyson Fury's star power when he doesn't have any. Because people lie, women lie, numbers don't lie when it comes to viewership and being a star in the sport. We see Crawford do the biggest viewership and Bob continuously shit on him. But we know why Bob is shitting on Crawford now, because Crawford is he's looking to leave Bob Arum. He's looking to leave ESPN. Not because he's not loyal, is because it's, first of all, his best interest. Second of all, he's mistreated, disrespected on ESPN. They rated Lomachenko the whole time on top of him, erasing his losses while interviewing him. And then a year later, after Lomachenko loses, they put Canelo on top of Crawford. So we constantly see the pattern of Crawford getting disrespected on ESPN. So, of course, it's a matter of time. Mind you, it was ESPN who requested Top Rank to extend Terence Crawford contract because he was doing the biggest ratings on ESPN. So Top Rank extended his contract by paying him extra money in 2017. All of a sudden, they losing money on Crawford. It's not adding up. This incident reminds me so much of when Rigondeaux beat Donaire, who Donaire at the time was like, it was like almost the replacement of Manny Pacquiao. Like they were looking, Pacquiao was on the way out, so they felt like they needed a new face. Rigondeaux, he screwed their plan, beat Donaire, and they brought Donaire back on HBO, who was coming off a loss, faster than they did to Rigondeaux, who beat Donaire. And the same thing is happening today. You see ESPN following HBO blueprint. They bring in Lomachenko coming off a stinking performance where he threw no punches at all, coming off a loss, before bringing Terence Crawford, who's coming off a spectacular victory. I mean, they talk about sometimes, again, like when it's a fighter on the coincidental list, they always got to do more. When it's Terence Crawford, well, you know, they say, Devin Haney, you got to look spectacular. You got to get a knockout. You got to do this. You got to do that. Terence Crawford is getting knockouts. Terence Crawford stopped all his opponents at welterweight when Crawford is not even a welterweight. Crawford is putting on spectacular performances, doing crazy viewership. And Bob got the audacity to claim he's losing money on him. He got to promote himself. Promote himself? You his promoter. You supposed to be doing the promotion. What's wrong with you, man? I mean, like I said, bro, the fighters on the coincidental list, they can't win for losing, man. You know, but hey, any last thoughts on that?
No, for sure. I definitely agree with that. Looking forward to seeing, you know, what Bud's talking about. Looking forward to these fights Saturday. Appreciate you taking my call. If I got this prediction right this time, don't let nobody steal my credit this time.
Hey, oh man, right. so you the one that predicted Billy Joe Saunders getting knocked out in like the 8th round, something like that, right?
Yeah, man. I said he was going to quit because he had all them excuses and stuff, man. I had that one. But
man, that was right on point though. That was right on point, man. That was right. I got to give you credit for that.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate that. Yeah, that was like literally the first one I got right. To tell you how bad I am, I had Lubin beating Charlo, and you see how that went. So I ain't guessed the fight since. So so I was afraid to ever make another prediction.
That's what's up. Hey, but you got it right. Hey, make sure you call in this Saturday though. If you are still up, you know, you're probably not gonna be able to call in. But if you are, please call in, man.
Yeah, for sure. I got you. All right. Appreciate you.
For sure. Now, take care. How you doing, AKHi? Who this is and where you calling from?
What's going on? This Alex from California. I'm that one guy that said Andre was going to fight Canelo after that one interview. You remember me, bro?
You said, say it again?
Remember when Andre he was talking crazy at the Canelo interview, and I said he's going to fight him next?
Man, yeah, that's wishful thinking because, I mean, remember, Canelo told Andrade, I would never fight you. So how you feel about that?
Yeah, no, I'm just saying I was the same guy. I just wanted to know if you remember me. But I think it's a cool fight. But I really didn't want to talk about that. I want to talk about a topic that you had right now. And that was the Devin Haney versus the Jorge Linares.
Yeah, but
I'm telling you right now, I'm calling it.
Hold on. But before you get that, I do want to hear your prediction on that for sure. But I just want to get your take because what's your thoughts on that? How you feel about Canelo telling Andrade you will never get an opportunity, you will never get a fight, knowing that he turned down $40 million for Undisputed against Andrade? How you feel about that? And I want your
that's
honest
cap,
opinion.
bro.
I want your honest opinion too. Like,
Look.
don't give me like, I know you like Canelo and all that, but give me your honest take.
Yeah, I like Lillard. That's full of cap, bro. They're gonna fight, bro. I don't care. He's just saying that for the act, bro, in front of the cameras. But we really know in the future they're eventually just gonna collide and because eventually have to fight, you know.
Well, damn, man.
So
What future, man? I mean, it's been 7 years, man. So, like, what future you talking about?
Because we gotta be optimistic, right? They're only like 30 years old, 32. I mean, the next few years they better fight. Anything after that, it's kind of like, you know, the Pacquiao versus the Mayweather thing all over.
Oh, no, it been that.
It
been that though, because it been 7 years already. Remember, Andre have been calling out Canelo ever since, you know, 154, and when Andre was a champion and Canelo wasn't. So it already passed the Floyd Mayweather Pacquiao timeline. This already been 7 years, and Canelo haven't even considered fighting Andre. So I mean, I didn't have. Listen, bro. I graduated high school. I graduated college. I mean, I bought a house. I mean, I don't know. I got a kid. I got married. All that, and Canelo still ducking Andre to this day. Come on, man. Like, bro, I'm telling you, I got a homeboy. Like, his name is Epifanio. He, you know, that's my homeboy from high school. You know, he Hispanic, right? He like Canelo, biggest fan. And bro, we've been talking about these fights ever since we were in high school. And he's still telling me to this day, yeah, Canelo, he gonna fight him, bro. He gonna fight him. I'm like, bro, you told me that shit back in high school, bro. You was the man in high school, and you still telling me that to this day. So how you feel about that? I mean, I'm about to be a grandpa with kids waiting for this fight. I mean, come on now.
Yeah. You about to be 90 years old.
Yeah,
so,
man.
Like, my theory with that is like, because Canelo, he can only move up so many weights, right? 175. Let's be honest, he's too small for that. He can't campaign at 175. He's way too small. So after he fights Caleb Plant, and hypothetically, if he beats Caleb Plant and is undisputed, he's eventually gonna have to go down, right? And face, you know, Demetrius Andrade, Charlo, maybe Triple G again. I don't really care too much about that fight. But, you know, I'm just trying to say, like, he can only move up so much. And he's really...
Man, I heard... Last time I checked, I heard Canelo planning to move up to heavyweight to get away from Charlo and Andrade. I mean, I'm telling you, bro, this man he gonna run from the sport trying to avoid these guys. I mean, I heard the WBC,
on, you gotta be optimistic,
bro. Optimistic. I've been optimistic for too long. I'm telling you, Canelo Alvarez. Have you heard the WBC talking about making a division between heavyweight and cruiserweight or something like that? Have you heard about that?
Bridgerweight.
That's
right?
for Canelo.
Yeah.
That's for Canelo. They talking about they want Canelo to move up and fight for the belt. I'm like, really? I mean, bro, come on now. I mean, again, at the end of the day, we've been calling for this fight for 7 years. It's long overdue. It's like, this is his fabulous four. Charlo and Andrade are his fabulous four. So, like, I remember the time where Sugar Ray Leonard, when he fought Thomas Hearn, when he fought Hearn, people were claiming he ducking Hearn, right? Just because he didn't fight him in 1 year. There was a 1 year time span. People was accusing Leonard of ducking Hearn because in that 1 year, Hearn didn't fight, Sugar Ray Leonard didn't fight Hearn. However, Canelo, it been 7 years. This man turned down an opportunity to fight Andrade at 154 when he was Andrade mandatory for his belt. Andrade was the champion, Canelo wasn't, and he turned down the opportunity to fight the champion Andrade. At 160, he turned down his biggest payday for $40 million guaranteed by the zone to fight Andrade for his dream, undisputed, and he let that get away. And then you see him kick him out of his press conference, tell him you a horrible fighter, you a nobody. You know, I'm like, man, like, bro,
get the fight.
Yeah, man, come on, man, you ain't never get a fight. I mean, I was extremely shocked. I'm like, bro, at the end of the day, I used to think Canelo is prideful enough where if you test his manhood, he will clap back. Like I used to think kind of like Lara. Remember when Lara hopped on the stage with him?
Yeah, right.
And I think Canelo learned from that lesson. He learned from that lesson. He like, oh, that ain't gonna happen to me again.
He got a flashback.
And then that's the witness protection was there. You saw his witness protection. The NBF witness protection franchise was there. And they kicked Andrade out. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, they didn't let that brother say nothing, you know. Andrade was trying to
Right.
talk to him. They didn't even let him say anything to him, and they kicked him out. But that's disappointing to see because that's killing the. I mean, I don't recall a fighter getting kicked out of the press conference for calling someone out. I mean, Andrade did the same thing to Charlo. They didn't kick him out. You know, Big Baby Miller did the same thing to Anthony Joshua and even pushed Anthony Joshua. They didn't kick him out. But of course, Canelo gets royal treatment for ducking. I mean, like I said, the witness protection franchise that he's the pioneer of, you know, he's serving him real well. But any last thoughts on that?
No, man, I agree with everything you said, man. Just from the WC making a whole new division for him and then raising the computer all level, man, it's crazy.
Yeah, well, so
I tell you, they're gonna fight, bro.
How you feel
Remember
about
my
that?
words.
Okay, how you feel? I mean, as a Canelo fan, I know you are a big Canelo fan, and I'm a big Canelo fan.
sir,
But
yes,
the
sir.
truth hurt. They hate me. They claiming I'm hating on Canelo, but they can't point out anything I say that they disagree with. But which means they just they emotionally attached to Canelo, and the truth is burning their emotional soul. But with that being said, if Canelo doesn't fight Andrade after Caleb Plant, let's say he does something else, you know, and would you say what Andre said about Canelo is true, which is Canelo doesn't have, he don't have no manhood in him, and he ain't got no cojones? You think, as Canelo fan, you would call out Canelo for having no cojones if he continues to avoid Andre?
Look, listen, as much as I am as a Canelo fan, first off, he's a drug cheat. That kind of makes me kind of hard for me to even like him, you know, to that certain point. It tarnishes his legacy. So just finding out if he doesn't fight, you know, Charlo, Andre, it's just like that tarnishes your whole legacy, man. Like I don't even like you after that, you know? That's just, bro, I'm trying to tell you, bro, they're gonna fight, bro. Come on, Keith. Come on, bro.
Now, I hope you're right.
Nah,
I hope you're
crazy.
right. I'm not gonna disagree with you. Shit, I want to see it. So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm with you. I'm just hoping it happens because I've been optimistic for too long, and it's like we get Ivini's, we get Rocky Fieldings, and I'm like, hold on. I mean, how they got to Canelo before Andre? I mean, that's crazy. But hey,
right.
You say you got a prediction for Devin versus Linares. Go ahead, lay it on the line.
Right. So yeah, I just want to make this quick little point. I'm trying to tell you right now, if Devin Haney doesn't get a stoppage, the whole narrative that's going to be pushed is going to be that he's not really a great fighter. He got pillow hands, which I don't think so. He got hands, like he could knock people out, you know. But I'm just saying, like the narrative is going to be pushed if he doesn't get a stoppage. But other than that, I got Devin Haney winning by stoppage in the 9th round by body shot because you know Linares is a little weak on the body, and you know he got that. You know, just get someone on the left hook. The liver is done. I'm calling it. But yeah, I got Devin Haney winning by stoppage.
Okay, so yeah, I thought you were gonna pick Linares, man. I thought you got a treat for that.
Man,
surprise.
Come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, man, with this pillow fist thing, I mean, at the end of the day, if you don't got power, they're gonna walk through you. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you really don't have no pop, they're gonna walk through you. And it's all about placing the right punch at the end of the day, hitting your opponent with the punch that they don't see coming. So the fact that Devin is still undefeated today, and if he beats Linares, either way, if Linares doesn't walk through him, then he don't have pillow fist. But of course, that's what they run with. But if he does have pillow fist, that's good for their favorite fighters. That means their favorite fighters have a better chance to win. So they should be pushing for the fights to happen, if anything. So we'll see. But I think Linares is a veteran. I wouldn't be surprised if he go the distance because if Devin doesn't push for the knockout and go to the body and fight in the inside, it's going to be hard to knock Linares out. But again, Devin could also catch Linares with an overhand counter, with the uppercut counter, with an uppercut lead. So anything is possible, but I could guarantee you it's going to be a very entertaining fight because Linares is going to bring the heat, and so is Devin. And also, don't forget, Ryan Garcia avoided Linares, so this man, he could fight his ass off. He's not no slouch, you know. But do you think you think a homeboy Teofimo he gonna step up to the plate after Linares?
Oh hell yeah. Hell yeah, nah. From what he sounded like, I feel like he's gonna fight Devin Haney for sure.
Yeah,
Definitely.
but that's what
it's
he
only
said.
right. I mean,
that's what he sounded like last time,
right.
though. That's what he sounded like last time.
Right.
Man, he would.
I mean, he wasn't really calling out Devin Haney like that, you know. Like he wasn't really calling him out like that. I mean,
Hold on,
this time, you know, he's making it official.
Man, I got something for you, bro. Hold on. I got something for you. Yeah, for real, I got something for you. Because, yeah, what are you talking about? He calling him like, man, he was calling him out. You know what I'm saying? Claiming he's going to end his career. Remember that? Hold on. Look. Here.
Wait,
here
what was this? Was this after he beat Lomachenko?
Yeah, that was after. Look, and then remember what he said?
Let me see this.
What he said about the contract?
Let me see this.
Here. The end of April, beginning of May is my fight day. Well, my fight month. Guess who? We're in the works of it. We're going to throw contracts at Devin. We're going to throw contracts at Kambosos. Whatever we get back with, as long as we find a medium, we all agree on the terms, then that's your fight. They're all going to know. Why you think Devin said April? Everything's already falling into place, ladies and gents. Y'all just got to wait. Y'all so impatient. It's going to come. All of it's going to come. Y'all just got to be patient with it. These things don't come overnight.
Yeah, did you hear that?
Oh, I couldn't hear nothing, bro.
Man. Well, anyways, it was the clip of Teo claiming he's going to send Devin Haney a contract. And obviously, I just posted the clip of Devin Haney responding to that. He said he never sent him anything. He said, in fact, he forgot about that because he was at the fax machine all day and nothing arrived. So Teo was pretty much lying about sending Devin Haney a contract. That's when Teo was claiming he's going to end Devin Haney's career. So hopefully this time around, he will do what he told us and what he promised the fans. So hopefully he will live up to it. So what's your take on Teo claiming he's gonna send the contract and completely capping about it? Well, why would he do that? Like, why would Teo do something like that? Any idea?
So after seeing that video from what you just told me, I feel like, cause see what I get from Teofimo, I feel like he's really proud. You know, he's really confident, and that's a good thing. But I feel like just him trying to call everybody out and trying to say you signed out contracts, even though they never received it, is all just for the show, you know? Like, we know you beat Lomachenko, you got all the belts, but for you to lie and say you sent out contracts, it's not right, bro. Like, I honestly didn't know about that, but, you know, we got to be optimistic again. After, you know, they become both of them, and hopefully if Haney beats Linares.
No, a contract was never sent. A contract was never sent. Okay. Because he even acknowledged it himself. He said, look, I'm fighting Kambosos. Like months later, he said, look, I'm fighting Kambosos. I don't care what nobody say. And I'm like, you don't care what nobody say. We going based up on what you said. Like, we ain't even talking about what the fans are saying or Devin saying. You told the fans of Mike Tyson you're going to fight Devin. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's kind of like shocking to see someone call out a particular person, claim they're going to send them a contract, and press the brakes on that all of a sudden and claiming, oh, I changed my mind, I'm going to do something else. So it's like, hold on. You say you're going to end his career, though. You say you're going to aim for the head. You don't aim for the body. That's how you move. You claim you want to bring the old school back or the best fighting the best. So that's not how Teo is moving. So, again, I mean, do you respect that Teo lies, you know, comfortably to the fans, to his own fans?
Hell no. It's like, so you got to keep that same energy. If you're going to say you're going to knock them out, then fight them next, you know? So, yeah,
well, you my man. Hey, well, I respect the honesty, man. I respect that, man, because, you know, Teo fans be saying, yeah, it's okay. He could lie. He a champion. You know, so I respect the honesty, man. So, yeah, I appreciate you.
That's the truth. Yep.
Yeah, I appreciate if anything, we can agree to disagree, but I always appreciate your honesty, man. Hey, make sure you call back after the fight. I got a special topic for you after the fight. So make sure you call back.
Hey, yo. Hey, remember me, Alex from California, bro. Hey, man, AKHi.
Yeah,
remember me, bro.
925, right? That's your area code?
Yep.
I got you. Just make sure you call me. Yeah. Make sure you call me back.
All right, yes, sir. All right.
Appreciate it. How you doing, AKHi? Who this is and where you calling from?
It's Greg.
Greg, what is going on? First of all, first thing first, how you doing, and who are you picking this Saturday night?
I'm definitely going with Haney. I'm probably gonna go with decision, but I mean, I could definitely see him landing a body shot knockout too. So it's kind of hard for me to pick one or the other, but I think it's going to be a decision just based on how skilled Linares is overall. I know Devin Haney's got the power, but I think I just think that he's going to have a tougher time with Linares than he did his last fight. He's not going to win every single round, but it's definitely, he's definitely got it. You know what I'm saying? That's for sure. My money's on Devin all day, but it's definitely going to be his toughest fight.
Yeah. I mean, Linares does have the credentials, so at the end of the day, it's going to be a good fight. One thing I could guarantee the fans is going to be action packed. It's going to be lightning versus thunder. It's like who's faster, who's more accurate, who's sharper that night. And I think it's Devin because he's the better fighter in my books. But we shall see. And man, that's a fight the fans cannot miss this Saturday night. But I do have interesting news for you, man, and I want to get your thoughts on it now. The Errol Spence versus Manny Pacquiao got announced. Is listed that is only a unification fight for Errol Spence belts. So, in other words, Manny Pacquiao is still the WBA super champion in recess, which makes Ugas.
So, in other words, Ugas got screwed.
No. Ugas still has the belt. So basically, whoever wins this fight, if they want the WBA belt, they could basically force that fight next, right? Which obviously I don't see why the Ugas wouldn't want to fight either one, right? But that being said, Thurman versus Ugas could most likely be next because the PBC on Fox schedule haven't been announced. We know Errol Spence is fighting Manny Pacquiao. We know Wilder's fighting Fury. We know they still have Sean Porter, Thurman, Ugas, and other fighters on the roster. So a fight that Thurman have been very vocal on and been telling Ugas while he was negotiating with Errol Spence to consider fighting him because if he beats him, he could land a bigger purse fighting Errol Spence on the negotiation table. He could have, if they fight each other, Keith Thurman was telling Ugas, the winner is going to be more valuable financially and legacy-wise for the winner versus Errol Spence or for Errol Spence in general. But since Errol Spence is fighting Pacquiao, it's definitely now going to be the fight to make for PBC. What's your take on that? You think that's the route they're going to go is Thurman versus Ugas since Errol Spence is now fighting Pacquiao?
I don't think there's any bigger fight to make for Ugas unless they were to put him against Porter or Danny Garcia. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I don't know where else they would. I mean, I don't. Yeah, at this point, I mean, I don't blame Spence for taking like a more, let's put it a more financially beneficial fight versus like more of a unification style fight if you fought Ugas, because I know a lot of people at first were kind of like disappointed that he wasn't going to fight Ugas because they were hoping for a unification fight. But just because of the legacy of Manny Pacquiao, and plus even Floyd Mayweather came out and said, like, don't underestimate Manny Pacquiao. Like, he can still, you know what I'm saying, do his thing in the ring, and he's got great power and great footwork as well. And
And then too, there's also the Olympic style drug testing thing, which is another story. But
so
yeah, I don't see the PBC. I don't see what would be a bigger fight for the PBC than Ugas versus Thurman as far as Ugas going forward in his career.
I mean, I agree. I think Thurman versus Ugas is the biggest fight to make for Ugas, other than Errol Spence, which is also a lucrative fight for the winner between Errol Spence and Manny Pacquiao. So I think that's definitely the right move to make. And if Errol Spence is able to secure both of them fights, that's huge pay-per-view fights back to back. How do you see Thurman versus Ugas playing out? Who would you favor in that fight? I mean, Thurman haven't fought since he lost to Pacquiao. Ugas haven't been that much active himself, but he did fight in between during the pandemic. And Ugas obviously very talented. So who would you favor in that fight? You know, because Ugas in my books beat Porter in a very close fight. On the other hand, Thurman beat Porter and Danny Garcia. So he's also one of the best welterweights. However, it's his inactivity that's been really haunting him and hurting his performances in the ring. So what's your take on that?
You know, it's a real tough one. I mean, I would honestly, it's almost an even matchup. I mean, it's definitely a 50-50 fight. The only reason I would lean towards Ugas is just due to the fact that when Thurman had his belt, he ducked Spence. And I think there was a reason for that. And I just think that Ugas, with the inactivity and just Ugas's, I mean, they both got really good resumes, but I don't know. I think I would pick Ugas.
Yeah, well,
just for the reason of some unsolved answers with Keith Thurman's career, because when he was claiming "Don't duck me, son, don't duck," he ducked Spence for the longest, and Crawford, and I just think like there's a reason for that. Where Ugas was about to sign the deal, he was preparing for Spence, and then Spence got the call from Pacquiao's team, and he was like, "I got to do this for my legacy and for financial reasons. You know, I can get a lot more money fighting Pacquiao than Ugas. You know, even though I think Ugas or Spence would be a better fight."
Yeah, I mean, I think the big fight, the better fight as far as pay-per-view sales, if Errol Spence is victorious against Pac-Man, is Thurman, because of his power. You know, of course, his trash talking and his name, right? There's a storyline that's there. Tables turn, so on and so forth. But I think Ugas will be the favorite in a Thurman fight because of Thurman inactivity and also Ugas' skill level. He's like the sleeping giant at the welterweight division. And even though Thurman has the edge in the power department, you know, obviously Thurman got the power all day, every day, but Ugas has the skill on his end. You know, he's a big welterweight. He could fight in the inside, and he got a nice, decent jab. So, you know, I mean, it's a tricky fight. You know, the fight could definitely go either way, but Keith Thurman in that inactivity, you know, I'm just not a fan of it at all. He haven't fought since he lost to Pacquiao, even though he should have stayed active fighting anybody. I know Keith Thurman misses the limelight, and this is the best way to hop back if you've been looking for a mega fight, is against an Ugas. But that being said, if Errol Spence does land the winner of this fight, if this does come to fruition, Crawford is going to have to go with what I said, which is the plan to fight the undisputed champion Josh Taylor, fight Virgil Ortiz. That way, you're already two-time undisputed at 140, and then Virgil Ortiz is a good name on the come up. Move up to 154, fight the undisputed Jamel Charlo, and then move back down to 147 to become the third, an undisputed champion in your third weight division. I think that's the best way to even out the playing field if I am Crawford. That's how I would go about it if I'm on his team, and I have to do a plan for him, just like Errol Spence seemed to have one. So that being said, hey, can you inform me on what Floyd said about the Pacquiao versus Errol Spence fight?
Yeah, he told Spence to be careful because and not to underestimate Pacquiao. That Pacquiao was basically one of his biggest tests, and he's got a lot of power. He's got great footwork, and don't just think that you're going to walk all over him and walk right through him, which is interesting because his Leonard Ellerby said basically the exact opposite.
What did Leonard B say?
Pacquiao was going to walk right through, Spence was going to walk right through Pacquiao. And apparently he told Keith Thurman the same thing. And,
that didn't turn out too well.
It didn't turn out too well. So he told Spence, don't underestimate him. I mean, they got the same difference in reach as when Mayweather fought Pacquiao. I believe Spence has the same. I think it's like 72 inches versus. I don't know. Don't quote me, but I know they have the same reach level.
Yeah, so he has more reach than Pacquiao. So Errol Spence got more reach than Pacquiao.
Right. But he was just basically saying, like, don't think this is an easy fight. Like, just because he got knocked out by Marquez and, this and that, nobody's going to walk right through Manny Pacquiao, and that's basically what he was warning him of.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
at the same time, too, we got to remember, too, like, Pacquiao, even though he knocked down Thurman, he hasn't had a knockout win since 2009.
Right. And also, you're talking about Pacquiao, right? Oh, hold on. I lost the connection. I'm going to call right back. Hold on. Just give me a second. So for...
the number you are dialing is outside here and will...
Greg, just hold on a second. I'm calling right back. Hello?
Please announce yourself.
Pacquiao has ever cheated because there's been never proof of it. But it did delay the Floyd Mayweather fight by a long time because he wouldn't agree to the Olympic style drug testing.
Yeah, and
that fight could have happened in 2008 and it didn't happen until 2012 or 13.
Right. And first of all, let me start it off with this. There's two styles that give Pacquiao a lot of trouble. There's a slick boxer, and there's also a fighter that's like a bully that's going to bully Pacquiao and be dirty to him and make it an ugly inside fight. Those are the two styles that gave Manny Pacquiao trouble in the past. I mean, truth be told, nobody have ever dominated Pacquiao. Even when Pacquiao lost, he always looked good in a loss. The only time I seen Manny Pacquiao lose, in one-sided loss to a fighter was to Floyd Mayweather. That's when Pacquiao lost, 10 rounds to 2, 9 rounds to 3. If you want to be generous, 8 rounds to 4. And that's being super generous to Pacquiao, right? So at the end of the day, Pacquiao, when he got knocked out by Marquez, he was competitive before he got knocked out. And when he lost to Morales, he was being competitive.
I hit him winning the fight up until he got knocked out.
Exactly. So he was always being competitive in all his fights, but there's always been styles that gave Pacquiao trouble. One style, like I said, is that slick mover, the boxer, like Floyd Mayweather. Also, Terence Crawford, in a way, would have gave Manny Pacquiao a lot of problems. That's why he requested $40 million for that fight, because he wanted to secure at least a good purse fighting a dangerous fighter like Crawford. Freddie Roach even said Crawford is like Floyd Mayweather with power. On the other hand, we don't know how much money Pacquiao requested to fight Errol Spence. But one thing we do know is that Al Heyman pays his fighters really well. So there's no telling. He probably did get $40 million. But Errol Spence brings a style to the table. He's not a slick mover, like a Crawford or nothing like that. But he is he's a veteran. He's a fighter with a great jab, a sharp, stiff jab, which will give Manny Pacquiao a lot of problems. I mean, we saw in the Danny Garcia fight, Danny Garcia, the main thing he talked about was the jab by Errol Spence. He said it frustrated him. He said Errol Spence's jab was very frustrating. And he also talked about Errol Spence's strength. He said Errol Spence was really strong and physical with him. He was able to bully Danny Garcia in their fight. You see Sean Porter, Errol Spence beat Sean Porter at his own game in the inside. So the point here is that Errol Spence could win this fight two ways. Obviously, I see Errol Spence backing up Manny Pacquiao with his jab, with his a stiff jab, controlling the distance. Since they are both southpaws, I see the jab giving Manny Pacquiao a lot of problems, because when it's orthodox versus southpaw, the jab doesn't come to play as much. Floyd Mayweather's jab came into play because Floyd is such an elite fighter. But the jab comes into play even more so when you have a southpaw and another southpaw. So Errol Spence's jab will be the key to his victory and controlling or even dominating Manny Pacquiao, since he is the taller. I think he's taller and has more reach. The taller fighter and has more reach than Manny Pacquiao. So Errol could easily control Manny Pacquiao with his jab and back him up on the ropes and start bullying him the way Jeff Horn did, which is the second way to beat Manny Pacquiao, is to bully Pacquiao, which is to fight him in the inside somewhere Manny Pacquiao is not comfortable. Pacquiao likes to be in control. He likes to fight at a certain distance, mid-range or the outside, where he could let his left hand fly and do damage with his left hand, because it's fast and comes from all type of angles. But against Errol Spence, he's not going to be as awkward. And also, like I said, Errol Spence physical strength and his inside game, I think he will give Pacquiao a lot of problems. And we know Pacquiao don't have the best defense for body shots. Pacquiao doesn't block body shots as well as a guy like Errol Spence. So I see this fight not turning out too well for Pacquiao. Nevertheless, Pacquiao will be competitive early on. Nevertheless, I mean, you brought up the drug testing. We don't know if there's a VADA testing. Last time Manny Pacquiao opponent dismissed the VADA testing, he lost.
Should request that in the contract? You think?
Do I think what?
You think that he should, Earl Spence should make that a mandate?
Well, I mean,
remember when?
Yeah. You're breaking up. You're breaking up right now. Hello? Yeah, well, I'm going to answer your question till you probably get a better service. But as far as requesting the VADA testing or Olympic-style drug testing by USADA, that's extremely difficult at this moment in time, because once the contract are signed, whatever is agreed to on the contract is what's Manny Pacquiao is obligated to do. If Errol Spence didn't demand Olympic-style drug testing on the contract, he can't all of a sudden force Pacquiao to do Olympic-style drug testing after they sign the contract. So It's kind of like the Keith Thurman situation where Keith Thurman said he just won the Manny Pacquiao fight. He don't care if Errol Spence is on or off steroids. He's a better fighter. He could have beat Manny Pacquiao in his prime. And I know Keith Thurman regrets them comments and regrets that decision because he realized allowing Manny Pacquiao to be on anything is like fighting Manny Pacquiao in his prime, and you don't want to do that. So I don't know what Errol Spence did, but there's no telling. Maybe Pacquiao even put a stipulation where they can't talk about anything they agreed to. They can't talk about if they agreed to a drug test or not. Anything is possible. If Errol Spence really wanted to fight, he probably would have had to agree to everything Manny Pacquiao demanded. So Manny was the A side in this situation. Therefore, he could have demanded anything. So it won't surprise me if there isn't a drug test. And we know Pacquiao, the question mark next to his name was turning down a drug test, like you pointed out early on in his career in 2009 when Floyd and Pacquiao were on their heyday, and Pacquiao turned down a 50-50 split when it came to money, pay-per-view, and you name it, all for a drug test. According to Pacquiao, he said he was scared of needles, and and he also added that when they drug test him, they take too much blood, which weakens him. That's why Pacquiao didn't want to take the test. And he asked Floyd Mayweather, can he have a cutoff date 30 days before the fight? When Floyd said no, he requested 14 days cutoff date. When Floyd said no, Pacquiao walked out of the negotiations table. In fact, according to Teddy Atlas, Pacquiao team asked Floyd Mayweather if they could keep her under the table and on the hush if Pacquiao fails a drug test until after the fight. Floyd Mayweather also said no. So there's a lot of questionable things by Manny Pacquiao team, because remember, Alex Ariza also supposedly have been giving Manny Pacquiao some type of shakes that Freddie Roach wasn't informed on. When Freddie said, when Alex Ariza ended up getting fired by Manny Pacquiao and Freddie Roach, and Freddie was trying to shit on Alex Ariza, and he said that he was giving Pacquiao shakes that he wasn't aware of, like something suspicious. But it's like, these are the type of things he was giving your fighter. So that's kind of suspicious on Manny Pacquiao end. So again, anything is possible, but stylistically, if Errol Spence is the same before the car accident, obviously we saw during the Danny Garcia fight, there was a lot of vulnerabilities on his end. He gassed out. He was getting hit with some shots we never seen him get hit by. He wasn't as focused, and he seemed to get weakened in the later portion of the fight. So these things that Manny Pacquiao could capitalize on. But again, the combination of Errol Spence control and range, he could offset a lot of what Manny Pacquiao loves to do with his combinations just with his jab alone. So Errol could control Manny Pacquiao with his jab, control the range like he did to Mikey. Obviously, Pacquiao has faster feet and faster hands, even faster hands than Errol himself. But timing beats speed. Like I said before, and Errol Spence has great jab that he could offset a lot of what Manny Pacquiao loves to do, and even punish him on the ropes in the inside to the body, somewhere Manny Pacquiao doesn't like to go, which is in the inside and going toe-to-toe. Pacquiao likes to go more so, in the middle of the ring and mid-range while he's in control, taking angles. He don't like to be face-to-face in the inside with his opponent. I mean, even if you thought he beat Jeff Horn, Jeff Horn gave Pacquiao a lot of trouble. He made him look bad. He was bullying Pacquiao at times, and he was pretty much bullying him on the ropes. Imagine a better, more technical, stronger fighter like Errol Spence. Imagine what he will do in the inside, who known as the body snatcher and has possibly the best body shot selection in the sport of boxing. So it's going to be a long night for Manny Pacquiao. So if he is drinking off that forbidden juice, he going to need it, because to go 12 rounds with the truth, he going to need to be back like his usual self.
And you got to think, what a statement that he Earl Spence knocked him out early.
Well, you know, they're gonna say he old. They're gonna say he 42 years old. You know, if he does that. But I mean,
What I'm saying, I mean, real fans will know what a statement that would be. You know,
yeah, even a 42-year-old Pacquiao,
forget what.
if we going based off his last performance, remember the Keith Thurman fight, he dropped Keith in the first round. So Manny Pacquiao is coming off a hell of a performance against Keith Thurman, who was undefeated, and Manny Pacquiao had one of his best performances of his career. So yeah, you definitely got a point. It will be impressive if Errol Spence stopped Pacquiao, but it won't be easy because Pacquiao have never been dominated. Besides Floyd Mayweather, nobody beat and dominated Pacquiao at the same time. You know, they knocked him out. He definitely got knocked out on more than one occasion. He got beat on more than one occasion, but he only got dominated by one, which is Floyd Mayweather. So it's going to be extremely tough for Errol Spence to pull that off. But he is, you know, the sky's the limit. You know, if anybody could do it, is either Crawford or Errol Spence.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Well, appreciate talking with you, Craig. I got the last caller. Let me go ahead and pick it up. And I'll be looking forward to talking to you if you do call in after the fight with Devin, Haney, and Linares.
All right. Thanks for having me on, boss.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How you doing, AKHi? Who this is, or where are you calling from?
Hey, my name is Jordan, man. I'm calling from Bahrain.
From where?
Bahrain.
Oh, yeah.
The
Where's
Middle
that
East.
at? Oh, the Middle East. That's what's up. What are you? So,
Yeah.
you know, Devin Haney versus Linares. Who are you picking, and why?
I got Devin Haney. You know what I'm saying? I feel like he's more young. He's a younger fighter. I feel like he has a lot of. I know the other fighters are more experienced, but I just think Devin Haney would just be too much for him. I think it'd be quicker, stronger. I think he'll just in the later rounds. I think I'll give like 9th to 10th round for like Devin Haney to knock this guy out.
Yeah, and like Devin Haney said, when it comes to experience, Ali, when he first stepped up, he fought Sonny Liston. He was more experienced than him. And it's all about the skills. They pay the bills at the end of the day, or at least the night. So experience only could take you so far. It's about how good you are and how talented you are in the sport. So, yeah, I definitely agree with that. But, I mean, it could possibly go to distance. Linares is a veteran, but it's going to be exciting either way, and I could see a body shot knockout too.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I hope it does go to distance. You know, I like seeing fights go 12 rounds. But you know, I want to talk about. You know, the welterweight division. You know, because I feel like Spence is playing a lot of psychological games with Crawford. And I don't know how often, you know, how frequent Crawford watches your show, but I hope he hears this right now. Because I feel like, you know, the stuff that Spence says, you know, he never shows up to Crawford fight. He would never show up to his fight. It's going to be a 60-40 split. If he keeps talking, it's going to be a 80-20 split. You know, I just feel like he's doing all this to psych Crawford out. And I feel like what Crawford needs to do is to, you know, make that match with Ugas, you know. But I feel like that fight probably won't happen because Ugas probably sees Crawford just as dangerous as he sees Spence. He probably wants to hold on to that belt another fight or two. So, you know, if Ugas fights Thurman and beats Thurman, that'll be great. But I think I heard you say earlier that the winner of the Spence versus Pacquiao is going to have pretty much the mandatory for that fight with Ugas. So I think Ugas should just go ahead and try to make that fight with Thurman. So Thurman can have, make that fight with Crawford. So Crawford can have two belts and they pretty much even the playing field with Spence. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like Crawford doesn't know that Smith is just playing a lot of psychological games with him, trying to psych him out, trying to play him like he's like.
Yeah. I mean, I think.
What do you think?
I think he does know somewhat. I think he just got tired of the back and forth because, I mean, like I said before, it's not about do you agree or you don't agree to the split, but it's a little premature to talk about per splits before you go into negotiations. Because one thing Errol Spence made it clear, he said, "Look, I'm not going to move up to 147 till I become undisputed." But he also said, "I'm going to make Crawford my last fight." So Errol Spence 2 years ago, or like I think 2 years ago, he fought Sean Porter. Leading up to the Sean Porter fight, before he even fought Sean, he said Crawford is going to have to take a 60-40 split. This is the comment Errol Spence made before he even fought Sean, right? So the reason why I say that is because you don't normally negotiate publicly. You negotiate once you go to purse bid. I mean, excuse me, when you go to negotiations. That's when you start negotiating. But if you already know you're not going to fight him until last, why are you even talking about splits? So obviously, like you said, that's what Errol was doing. He was playing mind games on Crawford, and Crawford, I'm pretty sure he knew that at some point, but I think he got fed up. However, at the end of the day, Errol Spence won the game as far as having the better plan, because he the one that landed the Manny Pacquiao fight. They were both chasing Pacquiao. It was like a matter of time who was going to get Pacquiao first. Errol Spence got the Pacquiao fight. So Crawford is in no position to he's in the back. He got to take a back seat to Errol, and that's the truth. I mean, you know, I at the end of the day, what Crawford could do is he should have a plan too. Like what you brought up, the Ugas fight is a really interesting fight for Crawford, but that's a roadblock there. I don't think the PBC will allow that to happen. The PBC will allow it to happen if Crawford sign with them or does work with them directly. But if Crawford does go to MTK or Eddie Hearn or whoever else other than PBC Al Heyman, he is not getting any of the meaningful fight he's looking for at the welterweight division or even 154. So the Ugas fight is not going to be able to come to fruition because of a lot of these things that come into play when it comes to the business side of things. So what Crawford should do, in my opinion, if he still has to fight someone on top rank to get out of the contract, go ahead and fight Josh Taylor. That's a pound-for-pound fighter who just became undisputed. That will make Crawford two-time undisputed at 140, even though he's not going to fight at 140 again. But again, he's fighting the number 140 guy. Then go to the zone, fight Virgil Ortiz for $10 million. That's a big fight, which obviously is gonna create a lot of buzz. Crawford's gonna stay active in the process. And then if Errol Spence is not giving you the split you're looking for, if he's saying 80-20, move up and fight Jamel. That's for undisputed at 154. If Crawford pull that off, he could move back down to 147 and he has more on the negotiation table. He could negotiate more. He got more leverage on the negotiation table because now he fighting to become 3-time undisputed in 3 different weight divisions back to back to back. So that could take it back to 60-40. That could take it back to like 55-45, which that's a long shot because I see Errol Spence holding on to that 60-40 after fighting Pacquiao anyway, regardless of what Crawford do. The only thing that Crawford could do at the moment in time is make the split more even. How you do that? Have a plan of your own of fighting Virgil Ortiz, Josh Taylor, and Jamal Charlo. Meaningful fights against pound-for-pound level opposition. That's the way to go, in my humble opinion. You know, and you got to work with the PBC directly. You know, he's not going to be able to get the Jamel fight and the Errol fight or anybody on PBC without working with Al Heyman directly.
No, I just don't think this is very easy. I don't think that's fair. And
Yeah, you breaking up. Hello, can you hear me? You breaking up. I'm kind of having a hard time hearing you. Hello? Hold on. Oh man, my man hang up. Well, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Go ahead in the comment section below in the chat box. Drop who you think is going to win this Saturday night. Devin, the Dream, Haney, or Linares. I got Devin Haney all day. I think this brother is the truth, a future pound-for-pound potential for sure. And he will have a chance to show his complete dimensions. I'm talking about from inside, mid-range, and outside boxing. So make sure you guys tune in to Saturday night. This is a must-see TV fight, regardless of what Chris Mannix say, regardless of what old media say. This is must-see TV. Make sure you guys tune in. I appreciate everybody for calling in. Like I said before, as far as the Canelo Alvarez, this man right here, he said he's the pioneer of the NBF Witness Protection franchise. He said no black fighters are allowed to fight him. If you happen to be the wrong color skin, if you happen to be black, he ain't gonna fight you. This man is avoiding the most dominant race in the sport of boxing. Crawford pointed it out. Terence Crawford, he put light on that situation, and many other fighters, legendary Mexican fighters, Oscar de la Hoya, Chavez, Barrera, Morales, even Hopkins came out and pointed out how Canelo continues to avoid the best. He even had a conversation with Andrade. He said, if you was a horrible fighter, Canelo would have fought you for $40 million for undisputed. Just like he fought all these other horrible European fighters. But again, that's why he the European assassin, because if you Mexican, undefeated Mexican, he ain't gonna fight you. If you're an undefeated Black American fighter, he also not gonna fight you, because the last time he fought one 9 years ago, he lost to Floyd Money Mayweather. With that being said, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Subscribe below, click on the notification bell, and to be continued on the next episode of AKHi TV. I appreciate everybody that called in from Joey. Shout out to my AKHi OG Swag, Boxing, in the chat box, Davis, Kenny, and everybody that's tuning in. Appreciate the love and support, and to be continued. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Everybody for tuning in. Don't hate, appreciate. Click the subscribe button. The like button is free. Peace, and I'm on to the next one.